fix it? Okay,
Good job, Tim.
all right. I will entertain a motion to exit our closed session and re-enter the open meeting.
I would like to make a motion to exit closed session and come back.
Second.
Motion by Koskela, second by Kyer. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. We're in open session. Lisa, will you please read item L?
Should we do a roll call?
Yes.
Okay. Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Wendell,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Haskala,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, motion carried.
Consideration, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just
Okay.
going to ask you to read item L.
Consideration of the approval of the village closed session minutes of July 8th, 2025.
Do I have a first to consider item item L of new business?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Kyer, second by Koskela. Any public comment on this item? Hearing none and seeing none. Any discussion?
Just like to say that I was railroaded.
Any further discussion? Okay, clerk, please call the roll. Please call the roll.
Yes.
Kyer,
Yes.
Wendell,
No.
Ryan,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Weinbrenner,
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, motion carried. Reports, please.
All right, we already talked about our, the dam hearing that we had today, and that was been the primary concern. I wanted to get you guys a few more things. I just didn't get them printed out yet because I didn't think we'd be in there all day. But specifically, two of the items are the audit RFP and the village attorney RFP. We've drafted those and they're complete. Now, what I've asked when we went to the personnel committee and we did an initial review of them and talked, what I've asked is, because of all of the issues that are going on right now and that we're already in audit season, I asked for these RFPs to be, like, we can do them now or do them shortly, but for them to actually, whatever it is, whether it's attorney or audit service, be for the next fiscal year. That way we know what those numbers are and we can budget for them, since we've already budgeted for the services that we currently have. And so I'm hoping that, so we can start it, and it also allows us a longer time to submit and review RFPs, so we can get, a longer time for people to submit lawyers or audit. Audits are supposed to start in August. So we're already, by the time we finish our audit season, or we get our audit RFP process done, we will already be past the time that we're meeting a lot of those constraints. So I'd like to continue Plant Moran for the next year, but submit an RFP for future years. I've kind of already ran it by Plant Moran, said, hey, this is what I'm hoping to do, and they are understanding of it, as well as Attorney Gildner. When we talked to Personnel Committee, I think that was kind of the consensus as well of the group, but when I'll provide you all the RFPs to review at your leisure. Again, it's not something that the council needs to vote on necessarily unless they want to take action to, the guidance was just to do an RFP. So unless council wants to create an action that says, hey, we want these to change, then I can update that. So those are two big ones. So the DDA and I have been, or the DDA director, the chair of the DDA, the deputy chair, so Linda and Jerome, and I have sat down a couple times, and we worked out like what we think that a joint role might look like and what that job description would be, and I would like to provide that to council as well to review. This role we would like to potentially do as a DDA director / economic development director. The reason that rather than an assistant position is because it gives them more focused scope of what they need to be doing, rather than, because if I have village managers, city managers across the board, if you have an assistant, what ends up happening is they just get all your problem children. And I would go in there with the best intentions, but that would be the same thing that's gonna happen across the board. And I would rather them have a very narrow scope of what they're doing to start out. And in that, we even talked about like, hey, what does goals look like for this position for the first year, 2 years, or short-term, long-term goals? So we said, all right, the first thing that I would want them to do is go in and build and make sure we have a strong DDA. So build that core of our economic center of our village. And then, all right, then we're gonna go look out and say, what economic policies can we, develop as a village? What incentive programs can we get out there? And then just how are we building it out concentrically like that? And so they were on board with it. I ran it, again, that job description by the personnel committee. We had some changes. And it looks like, I think we kind of have a consensus of what we want to see. I need to run all those changes back by the DDA and make sure they are in agreement. We sat down with the interim DDA director for Berkeley. It was already mentioned, I believe, a little bit ago. She is going to take over or potentially take over the DDA services starting in September. It's probably, what was it, a sixth of the cost, fifth of the cost?
Yeah, yeah, it's $45 an hour instead of $250 plus an hour.
So, and someone that has a lot of experience, and she's also interested in potentially looking at taking the position full-time. And so it's, although we will still post and we will still do all of the hiring procedures and we'll, be ahead of that, we will, it might be an opportunity for us to try before we buy in a way and just see if it's a good fit for both this individual as well as the village. And so I want to thank Councilmember Koskela, because he was one that recommended this individual. And so Rich mentioned a couple people, looked him up, had conversations, talked to the surrounding community that, I talked to the manager, the people that I know, they recommended them. So, thank you for your participation in the process as well. And I expressed that to the DDA as well, that, that we're getting these recommendations from. Yeah, and so, working on this court stuff, the court, it will be, we have to have written, we will have to have our written final arguments for this court case by August 27th. Attorney Gildner is going to work on it. Specifically, it will be tied around the whether or not the Eagle was authorized under Public Act or Part 315.21 to conduct an emergency drawdown. Did they have the authorization during that period to do it? And so that's what this whole thing is contingent on right now. That we had kind of ended, and then the judge and I talked, like he had a question and answer period with me afterwards about some of this, and then he, based on that, he said, okay, well, I want us to do additional closing arguments, because I think that kind of swayed him a little bit about, what the village's intention is for this. And what I expressed, as far as they said, what do we, it's already drained, what do you hope? And I said, well, I don't want us to be liable for any of the costs associated for it. I want us to have clearly defined expectations about what we need to do to raise it up, because right now they're just using pending legislation to tell us, this might be what you have to do it. We don't know what the criteria is. And there was a couple other things that we stated, and I think they found it pretty reasonable. And I'm trying to remember what the third thing is, but I can't off the top of my head. I don't have my notes with me. No, and then the judge said that he will probably render a verdict the week of September 9th, just so for expectations about when we will actually hear and answer back from that. Until then, it's kind of business as usual, and I understand all the requirements that you would like for the cityhood discussion at the next meeting. So,
Thank you, Tim. Lisa, do you have anything?
The only thing that I have is next week I'm going to be on vacation.
Congratulations.
So if anybody needs me, I won't be
No.
around. No, I'm just kidding.
Good for you, good for you. All right. Board members, Daniel?
Well, I wasn't able to make it to the HTC meeting, but I did talk to George on the phone, and I did watch the meeting. And it was about Andy's Place, and it's being hung up right now because of the arches that go over the window. I did give all the council members a piece of paper like this, It's got two different pictures to it. I'm trying to figure out more about the arches and how they gotta be done, and to find out whether or not, what steps could be done next to not have her wait so long to see if I can get, if it's two members, or if it's gotta go through the president or something like that, to initiate a special meeting if their architect designs what they need to have designed. So we need, I guess, from what my understanding was, we've got to have before and what they want it to be. So, and then, just one thing I have a question about, I guess, is, I did, when a person was up at public comment, I did offer to extend their minutes, and I was told flat out no. And I did look it up. Whether or not this pertains to us, I don't know. But it says generally no, a village chair cannot unilaterally deny an extension of the speaker time at a public meeting if an assembly itself has the power to set or modify time limits. So I wasn't given a chance of a second or not a second. It was just given a chance to say no.
We'll have to ask Attorney Gildner, and I can find that out. Typically, according to Robert's rules, is that the chair of the committee controls who actually has speaking time, including with council members. The chair could direct, your time is over. There's very strict provisions. We don't really follow a lot of that.
No, we're
but
allowed to
as
say,
far
like,
as-
if, when your buzzer runs out, when your 2 minutes, I'd like to make a motion to extend this person's time, and usually it's, somebody else will second the motion, or nobody will, and it falls dead and it's done. But it wasn't even given a chance to go to the second, but it's one of the things that say, you know, and if I'm not mistaken, I could be, that, you know, we allow public comment to be 3 minutes, and then a vote by council to extend it by 1 minute, or vice versa, or however, whatever the case may be. It was just shot down right out of the water, and I just didn't think that was very appropriate.
I would have to look at also the rules and procedures. I don't know if it's outlined within our rules and procedures.
If it's not, then our rules and procedures say we default to Robert's rules for anything not outlined in it.
Yeah, if you can get that from Gildner,
Absolutely.
thank you. Daniel, do you have anything else?
Nope, that's all I have, thank you.
Shannon?
So I did attend the HIA meeting. They are currently working on moving. They are moving to the new Holly Middle School. It is throwing a little bit of a change up in their plans to distribute school supplies. So keep an eye out on their Facebook page. They are contacting families who have reached out to them about how to pick up the school supplies, where to get them, because HIA does fundraise to be able to give children in our community who don't have access to school supplies and different things that ability. So there's some great volunteers there. The school district members happen to be in attendance and also commented on the fact that they are still waiting for state budget approvals. They don't know in Holly schools yet if they will have free and reduced breakfast and lunch. So that is also a big concern for HIA and for the program Feeding Kids, which they've had like 300 applicants, but are only able to pack right now for, I believe, 120 students. So they are running low, but trying to fundraise, and you will see them at our Holly Days Parade. They are going to be our grand marshal, so that's really exciting for them.
Amber?
Yes, I missed Parks because we had a personnel and ethics meeting, so I can't really update on that, although there wasn't any new business, so I doubt that there was anything that really went on. Holidays Committee also met. We're in the last leg of it. We were just basically shoring up everything. Just as a point of reference, this is the 160th year of Holly, so I think that's pretty important. We're gonna have a parade, we're gonna have the community play day, everything's gonna pretty much be the same, we're gonna have hot dog lunches. Just come out and have a good day.
Thomas?
The only thing I had was, I've been getting questions asked about our code enforcement, like how we're enforcing it. So can you just touch up a little bit?
Yes, so one of the comments that I've heard from not only council, not only other boards, commissions, specifically HTC, Planning Commission, but also the community, the DDA, is the fact that, what does our code enforcement even do? Like, we've kind of had lack of code enforcement. So I've been sitting down very intentionally with the chief of police. Code enforcement, historically has been, is always complaint-based. But there are things that we've been like, hey, we want to be very intentional about these things to make sure that, at least some of our key items, the grass, some, I'm trying to think of good examples, like some vehicles, being in certain positions, that we are adhering to these. And this will, we're going to look at the codes and I've asked them also, what codes don't make sense? Which ones like are outdated that we need to address? And so we're kind of also making a list of those so that we can make recommendations to council or the ordinance committee and then council about, which ones need to be updated in the future. But yeah, no, there has been an intentional drive in order to do better code enforcement based on command. And so everyone wants it until they're the ones getting the code enforced upon them. And I know that another one brought up in the DDA meeting yesterday. If you go to the actual village website, we have a new document in our miscellaneous documents, how to open a business in Holly. And it was something that one of the DDA members brought. He said, hey, this community has a good example of this, like a flow chart, step-by-step instructions. And so Chief Watson brought it to me, and we developed our own that we now have on the website, and it is kind of a step-by-step guide. And so people that are, I think that some people that might be used to a handshake agreement, we are formalizing processes, as was asked to do, and we are saying, hey, everyone's held to the same standard across the board. And I think that's kind of where we're sitting with some of these items. Whether it's our rules and procedure, or whether it's health code, whether it's I can give specific examples, but probably better not.
Did you have anything else, Thomas? Buster?
I think tomorrow night we're gonna have an open discussion on the dam, I believe, public to come in.
It's a
tomorrow night
town
at
hall,
6.
and anything they
Town hall.
want to talk about.
Okay.
Sorry, you're right.
That's all I got.
Jim?
Thank you, Madam President. So I had a resident reach out. They were inquiring about a blotter for police. And I think, we do the amount of calls and stuff that the police and fire will respond to. I think especially with our new millage and justifying police services and fire services, if we would have, maybe not the whole rundown of all the situations that happen, but just some minor or some of the major incidents that our police forces are responding to, could be beneficial just to have all the, more buy-in for police and fire services because, and even code enforcement, for instance, how much they're actually working, because then we'll see that our officers who do code enforcement are actually out working, and it's not just, everything's not running great because everything runs great, it's because we have people doing the work. For Finance Committee, we haven't had, I don't think we've had a meeting since last meeting. We've had some emails go back and forth about how to ensure that there's still that parity between residents and non-residents. So there's still some studies that are going on, and I think it's Plant Moran potentially that we're.
Yes, Brian Canmiller, and I'd have to look at the last status on that.
Yeah. So there is progress being made on that front. So it's not dead in the water. I think that's it. Thank you.
There's one more item that I forgot with Historic Commission. Doug also resigned because he's moving out of, Doug Grosner. He's moving out of the area, so he can no longer fill a seat. So we're gonna have 2 openings on Historic Commission. So if anyone is interested and would like to get more involved, as they've stated, so like, I would recommend you maybe put in an application to maybe join our Historic Commission. And I know that they've previously expressed the Historic Commission has previously expressed concern, like frustration, because whether they were not meeting or that no one's being held to the code, but this is what we're trying to do now. We're trying to hold people, and that includes our building. Part of this for them on their side is we've changed our building permits. There's now 2 places where you have to check to see if this building is in the Historic Commission, and you have to actually get Historic Commission approval. And there's links on there to click on to determine whether your house is in the Historic Commission or Historic District. So a lot of this stuff is happening behind the scenes. I should probably do a better job of informing you guys about these like small changes that we're making administratively, but we're, you know, these are things we're doing to make us be more effective in, you know, our different boards and commissions. But yeah, we have 2
That's a good
openings,
idea.
so.
Okay.
Thank you for your hard work.
The DDA is actively working on updating and amending its bylaws. Major kudos to Hillary for spending countless hours amending them. They have adopted a purchasing policy, and they have contracted their own attorney with Foster and Swift, which incidentally is the same attorney law firm used by the library. They've got an amazing reputation, so good for them. They completed a legal policy, and let's see what else. They are fixing the sound system downtown. They're working on more beautification projects, arches, murals, signs, etc. They had decided to renew their contract with the Powell Strategies DDA interim director for the months of July and August at the cost of over $250 an hour. This was not a unanimous decision. The vote was 6-3. I advised against this myself, as the council had previously been of the consensus that the DDA interim director was responsible for the withholding of information during a previous hiring process. I was also resistant to show support to this interim director, as she has 3 times added items to the DDA agenda in an attempt to bypass council and DDA board approval for expenditures and contract approvals. The chair had also decided to hire the DDA interim director to educate the DDA board on fulfilling the requirement of new member education. I did not feel the interim director was qualified to teach on FOIA, OMA, board member duties, officer duties, or the DDA's relationship to council. However, she shared a lot of helpful information and did create the legal policy last month, so some of my reservations about her were mitigated. Attorney Gildner had offered his services, and he charges $100 less per hour than the DDA interim director, but the chair declined. This was not an agenda item. The chair made this decision without soliciting the board's input. I reminded the DDA subcommittees for the 2nd time this year that they are responsible for approving Midtown and Northtown as well as the downtown. And I know this is a difficult subject. It's been hard to get collaboration from other businesses in those areas. However, as of right now, we do capture taxes from those areas, and we are responsible for maintaining the contract to add to the value in these communities in exchange for that tax capture. Instead of relinquishing those taxable areas, I may be proposing that we add a ballot item to go from a 9-member board committee to a 12-member board committee at the next election. I think that the more brains on the board could help with more ideas, and I will strive to keep the tax capture as long as it is ethical. The DDA chair and the village manager have been collaborating on a job description for someone to take the role as an economic developer. Last night, they hired a part-time, is economic developer the term they're giving her right now, / DDA director? So interim DDA director, but she might be qualified to fulfill that position later for the job description they're currently working on, which would also help. That DDA director / economic developer would alleviate some of Tim's burden. So I think that this would fulfill council's criteria of that assistant manager / DDA director with different terminology. For now, so she is scheduled to start on September 1st for the cost of $45 an hour. This is an appropriate pay scale for that position, and I am quite pleased with their efforts here. I am hopeful that this new hire is the harbinger of unification and more good things to come. Finally, it has come to my attention that a council member reached out to the attorney with a dispute. Process dictates, according to the charter, that only the village manager may reach out to the attorney. If any member of the council would like to speak to the attorney, it must either be with the majority of the council vote or through the village manager, or, and we were looking at this today, the village president with 4 members of the council can go to the attorney if they perhaps saw an ethics violation on the part of the village manager. So those are the only options. Rather than taking any disciplinary action here, the Personnel Committee agreed that public education was the correct course of action and merits due diligence. I was personally leaning more towards recommending a censure, as it is our responsibility as individuals on council or any other subcommittee of the village to pursue our own education. This education has also been given privately more than once. However, the other two members of the Personnel Committee are persuasive, so I thank them for urging me to be tolerant. That is all I have. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Can I ask questions?
Sure.
So, do we want to talk about who reached out first?
No, because I believe that if we did, we could be, I don't feel that's appropriate without offering them a closed section to discuss disciplinary action, and I feel like just the discussion alone would qualify publicly if they were named as disciplinary action.
But there is no disciplinary action, is my question. I mean, I'm not, that's fine, if we don't
Can
want, that's
I
fine.
jump in?
Wouldn't that also qualify as an
Madam
ethics
President?
violation, go to ethics committee? I'm sure you guys are all the same one.
We were all.
It was process rather than ethics. So Personnel Committee, even though it's the same people in both committees regardless, it was a process consideration rather than an ethics consideration.
My concern was, is I just don't have us reach out and be billing the attorney for that stuff, so I hope that didn't happen.
That was our concern as well.
And now the other question I had is, you had mentioned there's 12 members potential. I don't know why that would have to come to a vote though for the people.
That is how it is worded on charter, right? That if we wanted to change the,
It's 9 people. That's why. We'd have to make a charter change.
yeah.
Would be
Well,
better
ordinance.
go to 11, so this
Ordinance, not the charter.
split 6-6.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Thomas Ryan is, and like I said, I haven't decided for certain.
Right.
It's just a consideration, but Thomas Ryan is suggesting 11 rather than 12 so that there's never a
Or even 13.
split vote.
Would just
Yeah.
not
I
happen.
don't think you can do 13. I think the choices are up to 12.
So I'm still uncertain if it's not 12 plus the member, or plus the village governing body person. or if it's
Gotcha.
12 members, but it doesn't, we can just change it, it's an ordinance. So it's not a vote of people. The way the DDA is established is by ordinance of the village.
Now, Tim, I thought we looked into that and Gildner said it was a charter.
Yeah, let me clarify that with Gilmer on that one.
Okay. Okay.
Could we also clarify that the DDA MCL is also followed, make sure that we can have that many with that as well?
Yeah, if we can have Gildner look into that.
You mentioned DDA, my concern too is it seems like in the newest bylaws, they're trying, them being the DDA, they're really trying to do everything without us, which I think is troubling to me. Like, we should be working together, and I think we could have saved a ton of money. We being the village of Holly residents could have saved money if they would have asked Attorney Gildner to see if they would represent them, like how it was previously. And
Well,
I think there's just all sorts of actions, it seems like, they just don't work, they don't work with us for some reason.
that was my
We're all one group here.
My biggest concern yesterday when we were looking at the bylaws, I had several things to comment on, and thank you, Jim, for some of your insight to those items beforehand, too. The recommendations they were making were to give the chair or the vice chair or the director authority to do things that typically the board has to vote on, which means it takes away your right to vote as a board member. And that's just not okay. That's literally what they're for. And it would also have taken away the approval from council, not that it would have legally, but it's what they wanted in their bylaws, council approval of budget amendments. So just none of it was adding up. So there were several different concerns, and I've had those same concerns with different action items on the agenda before. So there's a pattern here, but I think we got the clarification we needed yesterday. And I'm excited to see what they can do, with this new person that they've hired. Hopefully, she can offer some guidance.
Part of me's a little concerned too there. One of the requirements was, in the bylaws, was removing the treasurer from the position. So I don't think we charge treasurer services. And then one of the residents that's on one of the committees to redo the bylaws said, oh, why don't we just contract with the township for doing treasury and auditing service? I'm like, well, I don't think we're charging, we being the village of Holly, are charging
I
for
think,
Lisa's time.
I think we do charge a little bit, right?
We do, but I think there was a little misunderstanding too of what we were talking about when they were having the discussion. Because we were talking about the independent audit that's required of us by the charter, and they were asking if we could have the
Township auditors do it.
Yeah, it should, and again, we,
Well, because right now, in the current bylaws, it says the treasurer will handle stuff. And then the amended book bylaws, that treasurer's removed from, so our treasurer's removed.
okay.
And I think it was Ms. Mattson that mentioned that, why don't we contract with the township? And I was like, well, why would we contract with the township when we have a treasurer right here? Doesn't seem like a
Although
good.
they have an amazing treasurer.
Oh, absolutely, I'm not saying anything negative about that. It just seems like we have the resources here, so maybe I misunderstood it, but.
There was another section where they wanted to have more control over their own budget and have their own bank, which is fine. And I said, you know, if you do this, though, you'll have to hire an auditor. And so I think that might have been how
think that's where it came
how that conversation came up. And then they pointed out, I think Linda might have pointed out, that they also would have to bring in the office of treasurer for on their board, so they can, you know, do their own internal.
It just seems weird, like, we have
Auditing.
one here.
I would personally make the recommendation that they hire an actual auditing agency rather than another municipality. That just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
I think the concept was using their auditing firm because they pay less for it there versus what we pay here because we have more things that need to be audited versus the fewer things the township has audited.
And soliciting bids for different things, there's a purchasing policy that they can follow right along with that for. So if they wanted to solicit a bid from that same company, I mean, the firm, yeah, that makes sense to me, the firm itself. That wasn't how I heard the question, but maybe that is what she meant.
That's how I interpreted it.
Okay.
but-
I just hope we can all work together. It seems like there's tension there, there
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be tension there.
Yeah, I hope so.
Doesn't make any sense.
I just had one thing too. I also watched the DDA meeting last night. And there was talk, you talked about signs or whatever, and there was talk about potentially a sign at Crapo Park that Linda Smith is interested in helping with. I'm curious as to why that didn't come to the Parks Committee as well. I mean, it's Crapo Park, so if we could maybe make a recommendation that that also comes, or at least is just brought to Parks.
Now, I thought, and maybe I misheard her, but I thought
She went
Linda
to
said.
Historic
Oh,
District.
she went to historic, not to park.
Wasn't she talking about the, some big sign?
Yeah,
Like the metal one or whatever?
it's
it
got
was?
like the history on it or something.
Exactly, like a
Yeah.
storytelling thing. And it's, not that I'm not against it, but again, I think anything that's going to come into a park should also be aware of.
Oh, I agree there.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would actually be under your purview more than DDA, right?
I mean, I feel like it's split because DDA is doing their storytelling thing and they
Okay.
have, they did do the new sign at Ganshaw as part of, that project. So,
Can I interrupt for a sec? Didn't she ask for fundage from DDA? Wasn't that why
Yeah,
she did
I
that?
think she asked for, was it-
$1,500?
yeah,
And then Linda said something like, well, I'll drive it down there for roaches because they wanted somebody to check on shipping costs. I don't think she was initially bringing the DDA into it to do something. She was just looking for fundage or a donation, basically, I think, is how I took it.
yeah, but you're just asking if Parks can have a seat at the table in that discussion, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
I just think it should, yeah.
I think that's appropriate.
I spoke to Christine a little bit during it, you know, afterwards, I didn't bring it to the whole group, but because it was something that was just brought up during the time, so like historic markers are covered under Public Act 10, and there's actually like state programs that handle this. So it was, I think procedurally it was handled a little bit wrong, and I think there's state governments on this that we should be looking into. I think Linda just wanted to get things done, and so, I handled that kind of separately with Christine a little bit, so.
Okay,
I don't
so,
know where we're currently sitting on it, but I can give you a picture.
okay,
And in answer, Jim, to the question about what we charge, the DDA, we charge an administrative fee for the, and it's to every fund that we have, you know, for the services of the general fund for me. So that, the DDA does get charged.
Okay, well, that's good then.
But it's not for the entirety, it's just a
Right.
round number.
okay,
Madam President?
yes.
If the said person, regarding Jim's original question, part one, wanted to say it's okay, would that be all right or no?
I imagine so.
Well, the email was because I sent something to the attorney and village manager and April asking a question and making a statement, but not trying to put anything onto his time. And that was my fault.
Okay.
Because tonight, he told me to email something to him. I says, no, I'll email it to Tim, and then Tim can forward it to you.
Okay. So the education has been shared, you know, going forward, if you guys need to speak to the village attorney, you speak to the village manager, and he'll either schedule a meeting for all of you or speak to him on our behalf or whatever. And that includes me too, just so you know. That's for all of us. So at this time, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion by Wendell, second by Thomas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Our next meeting, September 9th.
Hey,
Now motion to